It does hurt back. Yeah, it calls back to that moment in our childhood of just like, if you turn it off, that's the end.
That's the end. Yeah, exactly. Good luck. I'll never like or like save points even being in like Final Fantasy where you actually had to find a save point. I had
Oh
multiple
yeah, I did.
times
Yeah, good
multiple
saving
times in
those
my
was great.
life where we're like, don't turn off the PlayStation. Whatever you do, parents, I swear to God, I'm so far in right now, but I can't save because I'm not at a save point. So I will be back after school to get to the save point. But I swear to God, if you turn this off, I'm going to be so upset.
How's it going, guys? Welcome to Otaku Flavored Podcast. I'm your host, Jay Lewis. Here with Savage Bear, who's trying to make fun of me.
Yo.
I can't ever get these things at all in order. But if you guys were watching last week's, where I flubbed the intro so spectacularly,
Oh, it was beautiful.
yeah, that was actually 2 podcasts ago.
No, that was 2 ago because last one I basically just threw the intro in because it was like
what you guys watched last week was a bit of a sporadic cut together of a conversation that we kind of had
that was
leading up to the new year.
That was like the bonus episode-ness where we just started talking basically because a lot of the times we'll just roll. So we'll go to start and we'll just basically start rolling in case we bring up something interesting or we talk about something that's worthwhile and it's like, oh no, we missed that. But that entire episode was literally like us talking before the episode that you guys saw previously.
Which may or may not explain as to why I'm a bit more of a dick than usual. I try to be the most like... So this is one thing that when I first met you, you were a person that was very like understanding of me and like just genuinely accepted me for whoever the hell I might have been. But I told you, like, going into us being friends, that like people think of me in a negative light a lot. They're like, a lot of people think I'm like a rogue or shady or sketchy or have weird opinions of me. A lot of people are intimidated of me.
Yeah, they definitely do. They think you're a rogue for sure.
And you didn't believe me initially, and then slowly over time, even my work, everybody around me was like, and they don't even have like a way to back it up because if you ask them about it, they're like, oh no, that's just like Jay's aura.
It's just your appearance. Like... Yeah, a lot of the time people just go off of what you look like necessarily. Yeah. Because I mean, what?
So I look like a douchebag, and I get it.
You look like a rogue. You look like the sketchy dude that's down the alleyway that it might stab me if I go up to talk to him.
But that's caused me many times over the years to overcompensate, and I try to take like a very like, I don't know, try to like put myself in a better light for people and try to like, I don't know, defend things and whatnot. And so I guess there's a part of me that just wants to start leaning into the damn idea of who everybody thinks I am, because that's a whole nother thing. But at the same time, I'm a super weeb that loves musicals and a whole bunch of other stuff that, you know, is not what people think I am, which is always a fun thing whenever I get in a new relationship. I've had people who get around me and they think of this image and they're like, oh, he was intimidating. I liked his impressive aura, you know, all these little things. And then they come home to hang out with me and they're like, the hell?
This is not what I signed up for. This is what is wrong with this?
Yeah. So, which has actually brought me to like, I had a whole monologue ready to go. I was like going to say like, sorry, I was a bit of a dick last week on the random thing, because I said a bunch of things that ended up getting cut, which we're going to talk about here soon.
Yeah.
But what did stay in, some of it was interesting. Some of it is stuff that I truly do believe. Some of it was just me being a bit of a antagonizer, something like that.
Like an antagonist. Yeah, I feel like you're closer to the antagonist of our story. Yeah.
And there was a lot of like me just wanting to put some like oomph into stuff, and I was really ready to come into this ready to spit hot fire, be like, I'm just gonna lean in and I'm gonna be the heel of stuff. And then I spent the other night on Twitch, and I spent the entire night streaming, blowing out my voice, getting to the point where I was about dehydrated, but having so much damn fun and hanging out with so many people that VR chat is something so unique and so special that it, like, everybody I introduced into there, everybody I talked to just came in and hung out with me in a way that I never get in real life. and I don't get those type of connections that I get because I do get so many people that are afraid to talk to me.
Yeah. And I mean, I kind of feel that in some ways too, because I mean, I'm a big guy.
Mhm.
I have a big beard. I look fairly intimidating, but at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, I'm basically just a cute, cuddly like bear, basically. Like, that's just how it is. I will never forget one of my friend's exes. She like way into my relationship of hanging out with my friend. She came to me basically and was like, "Hey, just so you know, when I first met you, like I was always scared to be in the same room with you. Like you were like absolutely terrifying to me, but then I got to know you and you were just so nice and like one of the nicest people I've ever met." And I was like, "Oh, well, thank you." Yeah. It basically sums me up fairly well. It's like kind of get the same vibe, but people don't think that I'm a rogue necessarily. They more think that I'm like a barbarian or like some like
Yeah.
beefy dude that'll, I don't know, like a
I give off shady vibes. You give off the beefy vibes.
yeah. So I do kind of feel you with that, because at the end of the day, yeah, I'm very much the same. Like you come over, you're like, "Oh wait, this kid's just a like a gamer who loves anime. Like holy shit, like what's wrong with him?" Like
Which, I mean, I'm glad, I guess, I give off that vibe in a way than some less desirable, because in a way it's at least, I don't
yeah.
know.
No, I feel that,
I
but
don't know how to exactly say, because it's who I've always been, but
I kind of
it
feel
does
you.
cause problems.
I do kind of feel you on the VR chat though, because I think the interesting thing about VR chat is you're being judged by your avatar. So you're instantly being judged by what you chose to look like, whatever that may be, and you can look like basically anything.
Yeah.
There's more than I ever expect whenever we go to Avatar Worlds or we go check out stuff, but I definitely, I don't know, VR chat to me is such a weird collection of people, and the more that it got popular, the more it got strange. Like I do
There's a little bit
enjoy
of everything.
I do enjoy going to like world hopping. That's like what we were doing the other night, where we were just basically picking a place, going in, seeing what was up with everybody, and then dipping after a while. But yeah, sometimes you go in there and it's a little it's a little too intense. It's a little like
Bit tasty.
in some ways like yeah.
Or there's the random 5-year-old, and then you
Oh
gotta
yeah.
figure that back out. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think VR chat as far as streaming goes is a very interesting way to showcase yourself. Like especially since they have like the whole selfie stick style of camera where you can like throw out the camera and you're more part of the show than just being in first person wandering around. Like
It's like the more deep dark side, or dive. That's what I mean to say. Not dark, but deep diving version of like a VTuber, where they're that one person on camera by themselves. You're a whole world of people being whoever they want to be, and it's a lot more. I don't know. They're kind of the two sides to the same coin in a way.
yeah. Yeah, I think VTubers are
Definitely not as big, but
basically VTubers to me are someone who took like the whole avatar style but is playing video games or making content that is closer to like your normal YouTube content or your normal gaming content or wherever it might be. But instead of having like you, like me physically here, I'm an avatar, or I look like an anime girl or a bear or whatever I might look like. Whereas in a what is it, VR chat, it's more like it's more like a community where you're hanging out with everybody and everybody happens to all look like absolute craziness.
Yeah, but that's actually a really cool thing that I like about some of the people that got me into the idea of actually streaming in VR chat are people who not only stream in VR chat, but they use their avatars while they're streaming other things. So they're basically VTubers, but they started out in VR chat, and their main world is VR chat. But they take their avatars elsewhere, just like a regular V-Star VTuber would.
Yeah,
And so there's the super hybrid, which is something that the regular VTubers. Saying that word too much is going to make me just like lose all meaning.
I know, right?
But
it's just like anything.
They don't like. They haven't joined into the VR chat world yet, because it just seems like a completely different thing from them.
A lot of them I don't feel like have. I have seen like get-togethers and things like that, but it's usually like private worlds where they're all getting together basically, but not necessarily.
2D live models is like the bigger problem, right? So they're
Well,
not
that's
3D.
true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because a lot of, I mean, it's a lot easier to make a 2D model basically of your anime waifu than it is to make a fully rendered 3D one that looks as good as your 2D one.
Yeah. No, mad respect to all of the content creators that do make stuff. That's one thing that I want to do at some point is get a custom avatar.
Yeah, like all the 3D artists that can make avatars that look like anime girls in all directions. Like shout out to you guys for sure.
The unsung heroes of the online anime world.
Because I mean, personally, I would love to do like have my own avatar as well, but man, they're expensive. That's definitely an investment. And then a lot of the times you have to go full body tracking, like which in itself,
which is something I'm doing. So
Yeah.
I ordered full body tracking, and it'll be here hopefully tomorrow.
That's exciting. I mean, I'm excited to see how it looks and how it is to set up for you. Because if it's not too bad and it's actually kind of fun, I mean, who doesn't want to go around in full body tracking, man, and kick stuff and full on
is pricing.
Yeah,
it's way overpriced.
For me, it's space. Like I don't feel like I have enough room to make full body tracking worth it.
Oh, I attack stuff on the regular as it is right now. I'm assuming that as soon as my feet are involved in this, I'm going to KO something. I just built the Millennium Falcon back there, and I'm going to try to test fly it probably in the middle of VR chat at some point. That's just how that's going to go.
I mean, that's how I felt. Like I was really afraid for my monitors the first time I ever got VR. I remember my space was barely big enough basically, and I'll never forget the first time I reached out and tapped my screen and I was like, oh my heart, oh no, that is not a sound you want to hear.
Yeah, so I put my VR into beta mode so that way I have 0 of the screen around me, so if I go next to something, my system's not going to warn me. I will punch whatever the heck I'm next to.
Yeah.
I've just gotten so used to... So I've had VR since it's come out. I'm one of those initial adopters, and I'm so comfortable in VR that I usually don't KO stuff anymore.
Yeah, I definitely
am. It's just unusual.
I'm definitely pretty good at knowing my surroundings, but I'm pretty tall, so ceilings are my biggest. Because normally, when you're looking around and everything like that, if you're not in beta mode, you like a wall will pop up. I mean, probably enough of you guys have seen it where it's like a little grid wall being like, by the way, this is your boundary. Don't go too close to it. But there's not one above you a lot of the time. I don't know, actually, any of the time. So a lot of the time, I'll reach up for something and I'll just hit my ceiling. I'm so afraid I'm going to put my hand through my light at some point. I actually have a streamer friend of mine who did that like the first day he got VR. He just destroyed his light fixture and like cut up his hand and everything, and I'm like, oh man, that is what that's going to happen to me at some point.
I think that's one of the things that I like about the knuckle controller is like half the time when you go to hit something, you're usually going to hit this. And if you look at mine, I just have gouges from hitting a table on it.
Yeah, from hitting the desk.
Pretty beat the crap.
Yeah.
As much as I complain about the index, I do have to say, sure, they have a bunch of bugs and problems, but it's probably also half my fault for punching things with it.
Yeah, for me, I feel like that headset is my favorite just because of how smooth everything is. I think getting the 144 hertz, if you can handle it, makes it worth its price tag. If you're not running it at that, then there are so many better headsets than the index.
The two big things that I'll say about this, I don't want to go on a tangent about them, but it's the brightness, unfortunately, in the end, as I have a stroke, the index is a lot brighter than all the other panels displays that I've seen in the headset. So like the Vive has a nice darker, like darks. The blacks are actually black. And in the index, you get like lighting that happens in there, and you get the effect of the God glow way more. But yeah, it's way smoother. So that's really nice. But also, as somebody who has played VR chat to the point of passing out in VR chat, the index is something you will break if you do that. The Vive, you can fall asleep in VR and wake up and not KO your system.
Yeah, I did break my first index headset. I broke one of the ears, and I don't even think I did anything to it, which was sad.
Those two tiny screws on there are just so easy to twig snap.
Yeah, for me it was like if you don't bend them up when you set the headset down, basically, because I normally will set it down on a table or something, and if it's resting on those at all, you have potential to ruin them immediately.
Yeah.
But they were nice enough that when I told them the ears stopped working, they gave me a couple of things to try. I tried them, and they were just basically like, all right, we'll send you a new headset right now, and just send us the other one once the box arrives, basically. So
I wish more companies would do that. I understand that they're afraid that people are going to
not
keep both of them and not do the thing, but that's why you set it up to where like it charges them or something. I recently had a couple companies that I've purchased stuff from that did the like send it back, and it's like, that's really cute. You want to know how many times I've left my house this year?
Yeah, I mean, especially right now, sending something back is not the easiest of tasks for most people.
Yeah, I'm not going to a store to go drop, package that up and drop it off. Like, that's not happening.
Yeah.
And so your thing of not RMAing my like $50 product that I bought from you is just going to piss me off. Now I'm going to go with a different company because you're an ass.
Yeah.
But I do get it as somebody who's worked with companies that have that policy exactly like that, like.
Yeah, because I mean, some people are stingy and they're going to try to get two things out of this or whatever it might be. I mean, at the current company I work at, sometimes people will basically like, oh, I lost a book or anything like that. And our policy is very open to just sending them a new one immediately, basically, without really verifying necessarily whether or not they did receive one and they're lying about it. But I mean,
most of the times people aren't being that shit.
Most people are not. Yeah. I mean, especially in like the line of work where we are, which is with like D&D and nerds and stuff like that, where a lot of nerds are nice people. They're not necessarily out to get two books from you or whatever it might be that we're sending them. But I could see it happening more with electronics.
Yeah, the threshold on the price, it really makes it an easier target, right? So when you're sending like, I don't know, your wireless earphones or something like that back or something like that, yeah, it's a good chance somebody might not want to send those back, or they might be lying about the first problem having it, or the first pair having a problem, or whatever the heck it is, which is super jank.
If you could make a headset, is there anything that you would try to like have them aim for, or even in a controller for VR to like make it better necessarily? Like, man,
so if they could figure out a better thumb tracking, like I just want better one-to-one hand tracking.
Yeah, I think some sort of
like almost that perfectly, but
some sort of sweet glove I feel like would be cool. Like,
I don't think it's glove because then you're running into like fitting problems.
Sure, I guess you can't just use it for everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, this isn't going to come for people who are watching the visual part of the podcast.
Yeah, good point.
Probably for any of the audio podcasts.
We don't have audio podcasts set up yet. So,
well, if somebody's just putting this on in the background and listening to us, the index controllers that like the ones that I use do have a little strap on them that you're supposed to cinch down and it fits to the top of your hand, which, is super cool. And then you can like let go and it won't fall. The problem is I have allergic reaction to those things, so I can't actually do it. So I never play with it touching or being strapped onto my hand.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
To let go of everything, I just let it rest on the crux of my hand where the metal part of the strap is.
Yeah.
Because I can't have the material rubbing against my hand. I'll break out in hives.
That's interesting. So, I mean, even if it was, I could see that working fine because it's now just resting against the one part of your hand that necessarily it would be resting against anyways.
That's what I have to do. But also just most times, like just holding onto like the shaft, like using your finger to like grip your thumb and your hand. I use that to grip onto the controller. I've gotten really used to it. Like, I know why they're not going to do it because somebody's going to throw it through a freaking window.
Well, yeah.
People suck at holding on to things. I've never done that.
They have to. Yeah, because I remember Nintendo got sued for their Wii, for like the strap basically breaking off. So they then had to go and make like a specialty one that like locks in place, which is for my Vive controllers. When I was using those, I actually went out and bought Wiimote straps just because they're so much better than any other type of strap that goes around your wrist. So if any of you guys,
nylon straps make you break out as well.
Oh, okay, yeah, which sucks. But I mean, a lot of people just take them off. Like that was something that always to me is like, I understand that you're not going to drop them or throw them. Like if you really believe that you're not going to, but what if you do? All right. Next thing you know, you're throwing your controller
against like me that have to take it off. So
well, that's true, but You don't have to. Like any of my friends or anything like that, whenever I would let them try it, I'm like, all right, could you please put on the strap, because
Oh, no,
I don't want
did
you.
the same thing too.
I don't want you to throw this through a wall.
Yep. You strap up if you use my stuff. That's the dang rule. That's for sure.
Yeah, because it's, I mean, it's expensive.
I'm allowed to kill my own things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because when you do it, it feels bad, and you're like, oh man. But when your friend does it or something like that, you're like, how could you?
Yeah, and I'm not a person that's gonna ruin a friendship over them punching my TV. I'm not gonna be like, dude, you have to buy me a new TV, because there's a good chance that they're going through something and they might not be able to, and I'm not gonna ruin a friendship over that. So if somebody did break a TV in my house or something like that, I'd probably be like, yeah, dude, that sucks. Whatever, we're still cool.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna eliminate the options for them to do it, like making them wear straps.
No, exactly.
Let's not have you do it. But if you do accidentally do it, then that sucks.
Yeah, I mean, accidents happen, of course.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. It's not good to take it out on somebody when an accident happens. They didn't mean to. I mean, if they meant to, then you're buying me a new TV. But like,
yeah, I've seen people be really petty about small things. Or not small. Like some of them are big. Like I watched a friend kill another friend's like laptop on accident because they leaned back on a backpack that they didn't know that was there with a laptop in it, and it bent it just enough to pop the screen immediately.
Yeah.
And that ruined the friendship right there, because they're like, you got to buy me a new one. The other dude was like, I don't have $2,000.
Yeah, no, exactly.
That's freaking fair. Like, it sucks. I get it, but how do you care about $2,000 or a friendship right now? Like,
yeah, I know a lot of people lean towards the money, man. It's weird. It's like, okay, all right.
It is, but you're probably not going to get it anyways. Like, it's just.
That's true.
I don't know. I've never been a person that wants to send quarrels over that, and I would never. Yeah, that's a dumb reasoning in my head.
And for me, I'm like,
you do you.
I'm like the same way, and that's why I totally go towards like what you were saying earlier, where I'm gonna try to eliminate the possibility of you doing the thing that would basically be like, oh man, now I'm out so much money, basically, whatever it might be. Like,
yeah. I'll limit the opportunity for bad things to occur, but if they do, then it happens. And of course, I might be mad, whatever. Like, who's not going to be pissed off that their laptop's broken? And I'm going to get salty and whatnot. But honestly, like, they're probably A, embarrassed, B, super sorry, and like,
yeah, that's true.
If they could, they would. And because of this mentality, I have had this in the past where friends have kindly and more than generously replace something for me that they damaged, and then other times they haven't. So it's a coin, but no matter what, like, I don't want somebody to freak out about that, because I have a general rule as well. Like, if you loan a friend money, you gave them that money. If they pay it back, that's cool. But
yeah, it's a good mentality to have in a lot of ways. That's actually my dad's mentality with anything like that, because it's, I don't know, I think it's a good one to have in a lot of ways, because at the end of the day, sure, you're giving them money and hoping that maybe they'll return it, because that was like part of the deal. But at the end of the day, what are you going to do? Like, you're not, what's more important?
So here's a fun little snippet for you. With our group of friends, there was a friend that mysteriously hated me out of nowhere.
Oh no.
And a lot of people don't know why that person hated me, and I still don't actually know the reason why they hated me. But they needed money one day, and I, without even question, just handed them money and was like, yeah, just give me it back whenever or don't, whatever, and just never brought it up. And there's a part of me that almost thinks, because they never paid me back, because immediately after that, that's when they had the immediate hate of me. And I was like, that's cool.
That's weird.
And I just stopped, I didn't care or reflect upon it. And they ruined the whole dynamic of friendship, and they're not a part of that group anymore. And it's all based around probably something really petty with them and their own like personal existence. And that's just like, people get so caught up with those things. And like, I get it, I guess.
They really do.
But I just can't imagine that being like a problem. Like, I don't know. I've been off in really bad situations in my life. So it's one of those things where it's like, some people might help you out, some people not, but you need to take care of yourself first. And if you can't do that, then don't help others. But if you can and you want to help others, then do.
Don't overextend, basically. Don't live above your means, I think, is a good way to look at it. But
we are so off in the weeds.
Oh, I know. It's weird. I'm really like in my head being like, all right, how can we get back? Because I actually, I was gonna say, I do want to come back to like the whole, what would you do for your own headset to improve VR, or like what would you want? Because I feel like for me, at the end of the day, frame rate is better than resolution. Like you could have a higher resolution display, but
Mhm.
at a lower frame rate. I would much rather have a lower resolution display at a higher frame rate, mainly
Yeah.
because a lot of the times in VR, since you're so close to the screens, refresh rate does come into play more than you would think.
Mhm.
And I mean, I'll never forget when I upgraded to my newest monitor, which was I went to a 244 from a 75 hertz monitor to a 244 hertz monitor, and it was I didn't think there was going to be a difference. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
maybe I'll notice something. But I got it all set up and I was just tripping out circling with my mouse. I was like just drawing circles with my and being like, dude, there's no like it was really awkward because sometimes like there's like a little gap because of the refresh rate, whatever it might be. On that monitor, no, there's nothing. It like is constantly keeping up with whatever you're doing.
Yeah, I've never been a person that needs the highest end graphics for stuff. I mean, I love stylized stuff so much. I mean, we'll get into
Yeah.
like possibly my current obsession with Genshin. Uh, that's not the best graphics in the world. It's just, you know, aesthetically pleasing, and that's the important thing to me. Is somebody can make something aesthetic. So I always find that if you can make sure that their fresh rate is great, and anything less than, because I've used the index at 120, right, is like
I think 144 is its highest.
144 is the one that you can push it to, but that's not the default.
Oh yeah, no. I think it is 120.
Yeah, it's like the 120, and anything below that sucks. The index was no, the Vive was below that, and
Yeah.
it was passable, but it wasn't as nice.
Yeah, if I
for
remember
sure.
correctly, the Vive is 60 hertz per display.
Mhm.
If I really remember correctly.
Yeah.
But I mean, for the time when those first came out, it's all I knew, and it was amazing. I remember the first time I ever got VR. What was the first game you ever played in VR? Do you remember?
Ooh, I think it was. I want to say it was like some demo game that was on there, like the galley or something like that. Is my what it was
Oh,
called.
the Steam one.
Yeah, or no, it probably wasn't that. So yeah, I'm sorry, the Steam one, the actual like Steam one that launched with
Or
it was
Valve.
the first
Yeah.
Valve stuff. Yeah, so the Valve demo stuff was the first thing that I did, and they had the Valve Hub World stuff. The first actual like full on title game that I played might have been, I don't even remember back then. That was so long ago.
Yeah, it is a while
VR
ago.
is actually old, and I know a lot of people still don't have it, but it feels such a commonplace in my life that it trips me out that people don't have it.
Yeah, actually trying to think, when did the Index come out? Or not the Index, but the Vive. The Vive came out in like what?
We keep getting confused.
Yeah, 2011. Is that when that came out? No, it
I
came out
mean,
after that. It was like 2013.
It's
Maybe?
been out for long enough, maybe 14, something like
Yeah,
that. But
so like
I've
6
had
years.
it for long enough at this point where it's a thing that I don't think about not having.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I got it mainly because I couldn't believe some of the videos that I was seeing from people like tech demoing it. And
Okay.
the one that sold me was this guy. I think he was from Nintendo. He was an exec from Nintendo. I'm not 100% sure if it was Nintendo, but one of the main game companies over in Japan. And he was demoing the Vive, and he was playing Budget Cuts, which was just a
Right,
demo at the
yeah.
time. And it was a video of him basically going up to this wall. So you're on the second floor, right? And there's like a little wall in front of you, and he stops directly in front of it. Clearly there's no wall, right? There's no reason for him to stop there, but you're in virtual reality, and he goes to put all of his weight on the wall basically and falls forward, and you can see in his expression for a split second he feels like he's going to be falling to his death from like the second story down.
Mhm.
And yeah, he just lands on the ground and he gets up and he's kind of freaked out. I was like, wait a second. If you can trick your brain into thinking that you're actually a story up in this, that doesn't, like, are you sure? Budget Cuts isn't the most beautiful high graphics
No, it's
game.
really not.
It is very stylized, but
It's so
somehow
immersive.
your brain immerses itself. Yeah, the other one was also from Budget Cuts, which was this dude. in Budget Cuts, there's a part where you like crawl around in like basically like the ceiling space, and so he's crawling around, and you can take up like some of the ceiling tiles to look down below you. So he took up the ceiling tile, and he tried to stick his head through the ceiling tile, and he just hits his head against the ground. And once again, I was like, wait a second. You're telling me these people are so immersed that they forgot that they're actually in reality, and they did something like that? I was like, I have to get this thing. Those things were like the thing that pushed me over the edge to getting it. And my first game was Space Pirate Trainer. I don't know if any of you guys remember that game. But that game is it's pretty basic. It's you kind of stand there and it's just waves of enemies that come at you, and you have different guns and stuff that you can use to destroy the waves of enemies. But I spent hours playing that game because it's just, I don't know, it's just so weird being in a what you feel like is a different reality. Like,
I have two main times that I've really got immersed into VR to the point where I did something super dumb. One of them was in a shooting game called Contractors, I believe is what it's called. And me and my friend were playing on the map together, and he ran into a room underneath me, and I'm sitting up on top of it, and I was like, oh, well, if I jump down there, he's just going to shoot me and I'm going to lose. So I was like, I'll just point my gun underneath and like spray and pray and hope that I hit him. So I punched the ground as hard as I freaking could, trying to reach my gun underneath the ground. Can't do that.
Yeah, I've done something similar where I can't remember. I was trying to reach for something that was below where the ground level was basically, and I ended up just hitting my floor. And I'm like, all right, that's right. You can't get down there right now.
There is a floor there.
Yeah,
it's such a weird thing to like immediately just stop yourself and like, yeah, apparently I can't do that. And the other time that I've done it, and I've done this one multiple times, is I'll reach for something in real life, I'll take a sip of it, and I go to put it down on the table that I can see, not the table I know. Yeah. And next thing I know, I hear clank, and I'm like, oh, I just spilled whatever I just had in my hand all over my freaking floor because that wasn't the table. It's not there.
I haven't done it with a drink, but I've 100% done it with the controllers. I think the first time I ever did it was in Job Simulator. I'm like done doing whatever I was doing, and I was like, oh, let me just take these and put them on this table right here, and you just hear them like thud against the ground. I'm like, oh, that's right. That's not a table.
Yeah. Tables have been my worst nightmare, I think.
Yeah.
I've messed up on those many times, but I've never rammed my head through anything, so I can at least have that going for me.
Yeah, I think I have hit my head against the ground once, and I can't remember what game it was in. I want to say it was in Half-Life Alyx, where like if there's some sort of portion where you're climbing through something and you like could stick your head down. I think I ended up hitting my head against the ground once. And then, man, I've just so many times my brain has tripped out and been like, this is reality, and I have to be like, no, it's not.
Well, here's the fun one, and this is a interesting thing to like see the studies for it, but the phantom touch.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever experienced that in VR?
You like when something actually touches you in VR, but you get the sensation of it actually touching you?
Feeling you? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I have necessarily. I haven't played enough multiplayer VR. I feel
it's one of those things where if you have it, you know you have it.
Yeah, I don't think I do, because I think the only time it may have or could have happened was when we did the horror game where we'd spent like 4 hours straight in VR trying to do like this menial task while we were all tired, and near the end of that, I would take off the headset to like wipe my brow or whatever because I sweat a lot. So I would like pick up the headset, and I would be seeing reality, and my brain literally is like, this isn't real. And then I'd put it on and it's like, no, this is real. And I'm like, wait a second. No, brain, it's not like that. I know we've been in here. I know we're frustrated. This isn't reality, and I don't want it to be reality.
Yeah. Man, so unfortunately, a lot of people lose phantom touch over the years they've had it. I've been able to maintain it this entire time, which is something that I've enjoyed, which is made games much more immersive. It makes horror games actually enjoyable for me.
I can see that.
I can't stand horror games elsewhere, but horror games in VR are fun because like that actual, that sensation of some like tentacle coming up and like coming towards my face is like my face just like tingles and itches. But I also have a unique problem that, you're somewhat probably familiar with the fact that I don't like people touching me in real life.
Yeah.
And it's because usually when somebody does, it causes me to like massively itch and like have a actual like it bothers me. It literally does.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that kind of like it trickles over and like my brain tricks me in VR, and it, instead of it coming over as like an irritation though, it comes over as just like a sensation.
Yeah.
So it's like passable. It's an interesting thing. I would love to know more about it, but
I think the interesting thing for me, I've definitely gotten more used to VR. I think it's because I've been doing VR for as long as I have. But one of the first experiences I had in multiplayer was in a game called Hover Junkers, or Hover Junkies, I think it is. It's made by the guys who do Corridor Digital. But in that you're in a post-game lobby, or like a pre-game lobby, I should actually say. And you're all standing around and you're basically just goggles in hands, because this was early VR and not a lot of people had like full body models and stuff like that. And this guy walks up to me and he starts just putting his hands over my eyes, and I was like, this is bad, like this is terrifying. Like I don't know how much I like took the headset off and I'm like, no dude, like stop. And nowadays, like nowadays, if that were to happen to me though, I would be like, someone's just putting their hands in front of my eyes. Like it's whatever. Like the first time it ever happened to me, it was like, oh God, don't do this. But I don't know. It's just VR is one of those experiences that when I originally got it, I knew I had to show everybody. I tried to show as many friends as I possibly could. I tried to get as many people to try it, because I do think there is an awesome place for VR to go. I'm glad to see like the Quest 2 doing as well as it is. I have a bunch of friends when that came out who adopted over to it. And because I think at the end of the day, like getting more people in to try VR, being able to see that this thing's a reality, will bring in more developers into this space to make more awesome experiences. I'm kind of excited and I can't wait. I don't know if this has been done, but like the first movie that's specifically made for VR, I think will be really cool.
There's a few of those.
Yeah, I haven't.
They're shorts usually, but they're really cool. I can send some of them your way. And let you check some of them out. There's a really cool one, a cartoon one called Invaders, which is like bunny rabbits getting abducted, and it's really fun.
Yeah.
But there's a few of them that I've seen, and some of them I've even paid for because they were like 30 to 40 minute long videos.
Yeah.
Of just VR experiences, and those are a lot of fun. And I would love to see like a big budget blockbuster done that way, but that's not going to happen anytime soon. No, like the install base still is extremely small. It is a lot bigger, but it's still extremely small in the in the big scheme of things. Yeah. Unfortunately, we had that huge step back thanks to Facebook.
Oh, with them locking out.
Well, then making it to where, you have to have a Facebook account in order to use the headsets now. And it's like, that's the way that you make sure an entire new generation of people don't adopt that headset.
Yeah. Because like when the Quest 2s were coming, people were getting theirs bricked because they didn't have good standing with Facebook, basically. And I thought that was weird. Yeah. That was definitely a strange way to go. I personally, Oculus and how Facebook's handling it, I think they make good products. Like I really did enjoy the Rift when I got to try it. I think the Rift's controllers were great. I think they were better than the Vive at the time. And the headset itself was definitely on par for different reasons. And I think there's still good headsets and they're still making good products. But the problem is we're at the infancy of this still. I mean, there's a ton of us. There's a lot more of us. But to gatekeep certain games behind like Oculus basically at this point, to me, doesn't make a lot of sense. Like
that's irritating for sure.
Yeah. You're just stifling growth.
It bothers me, but at the same time it doesn't completely, mainly because like the PlayStation ones are doing that as well. Like,
well, sure, but
it's a bit of an irritation, but my bigger problem is an entire platform that people adopted into being turned into a Facebook must use thing.
Yeah.
Like that. If tomorrow I had to like log into my headset into a company in order to use it, I wouldn't use it anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand that. I mean, going more that route sucks because it's even more gatekeeping basically.
Yeah.
It's very similar to I guess what I'm complaining about with the games being gatekeeped to just like Oculus, but
Right.
this is literally the company saying, "Hey, you have to be a part of our platform and
Yeah.
you have to be
See,
in
that
good
makes me pissed
standing."
about the game, but this makes me pissed about the headset. And so those
Yeah.
are like where I define the two different parts of it. And
It does
I'm
make
more
sense.
upset about the hardware side of it than I am about the game side of it, because that's a whole different story in my head, and a long problem that we've had with games in general,
True.
always being, so
I
I
guess
feel more passionate about the hardware side of it.
yeah, I guess the game thing is something that's been happening for a long time as far as like Xbox, PlayStation. Like there's always going to be exclusives for these platforms, which does suck
Yeah.
because as a gamer, it's one of those things where you have to make this weird choice where, oh, I'm going to get a PlayStation now because it has this game on it that's nowhere else. And
Yeah,
I've run
that's
into
annoying.
like I've bought in consoles for a single game just because I wanted to play that said game. I don't really do that much anymore. Nowadays, I kind of just give up. I think the only series that would make me buy a console to play it would be if they brought back Metal Gear Solid. Like they made a good Metal Gear Solid 6 and they were like, it's only on PlayStation 5. I'd be like, well, I'm buying a PS5. But I mean, Halo was that for Xbox for a long time. And
Yeah,
I didn't buy
definitely
Halo
was.
5 for the Xbox One because I've kind of moved away from that whole game genre, and I guess not first person shooters, but just how they were treating Halo for me.
The one that would do it for me is definitely for Pokemon. So
Oh yeah.
if they were to, for some reason, stop doing stuff for Nintendo platforms, because I'm going to buy a Nintendo platform anyways, because it's the one console that I actually care about buying and owning. But if for some reason tomorrow they're like, guys, Pokemon is now only existing on the Pokemon Plus, and it's like some weird gadget that I have to go now buy, I'm going to go buy it.
Yeah.
Like, you could sell me an entire system just on the sole reasoning to go buy Pokemon. I just wish that it would also be on Nintendo's platform so I could get all the other stuff, which luckily it is. So I don't have to worry about this futuristic problem that I'm concocting in my own head. But that's the system seller for me, because there's never been a Pokemon game that I've ever missed. And as a kid who beat the Elite Four in the 90s, I'm forever sold on that.
Yeah. Pokemon definitely is one of those series where I was in it for a while and then I think I dropped out for Black and White when that came out.
Mhm. A lot
And I
of people
kind of
did.
just moved on and then came back. I mean, when Sun and Moon came out, I came back for Sun and Moon, mainly because I had a 3DS and they came out with the Pikachu one, and I was like, oh, I'm not missing this boat. I gotta buy the Pikachu 3DS. And then for Switch, I bought Sword and Shield when that came out.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the thing that pushed me, my Nintendo console seller, is 100% Zelda. If there's a Zelda game on your console, I'm going to buy it. Handheld Zeldas, not so much. Like I didn't buy a 3DS so I could play Spirit Tracks or whatever, which one it was, Phantom Hourglass. I can't remember which one, but like Zelda as far as console goes. Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean,
right on Pokemon.
I think it's because I grew up playing Zelda before. No, I guess I didn't. Did I grow up playing? No, I definitely grew up playing Pokemon before. I'm confused now.
I think
I'm like,
here's
my
the reason
brain.
for me is Zelda is one of those games that I own on multiple areas and multiple platforms, and Pokemon is like only ever on Pokemon. But my favorite one for Link to the Past has been repackaged on more than just the Game Boy.
Yeah.
It's in so many different areas that yes, they're all only Nintendo products, but at the same time, it's almost like Mario at that point, where it's just so saturated in there where it never feels like it could leave. But Pokemon, I have that rational fear that it's not Nintendo.
Yeah, I mean, potentially it could, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, Zelda is very, very much Nintendo. Like,
yeah.
And I'm glad that you
100%.
said A Link to the Past, because that is also my favorite. That was so like I feel like a lot of people choose Ocarina of Time because that was like our generation's Zelda game, and I had a SNES given to me before the 64 came out, and I played the shit out of A Link to the Past. That was like my game to play.
Well, we teeter right on that generational gap.
We really do,
because it wasn't until we were what, like 10 that 3D graphics came out.
Yeah.
So we didn't have all that fancy stuff, and then it did happen. So we had our teen years with them, and then we were adults by the time that all the fancy stuff came out.
True.
So
we did get
and
to
a very
see.
interesting point in there. You can go either way.
Yeah, we definitely did get to see the whole jump. At least I did, of going from your Mario to Mario 64, and now all of a sudden. You're running around in a 3D world. It's kind of open world-esque. The levels are bigger. There's a 6 degrees of freedom or movement basically. And yeah, it was a weird jump. I mean, some of those games did better than others. Is there any game from like 64 or even maybe PS1 that stands out in your head as a game that like you couldn't beat as a kid, mainly just because of how bad it necessarily was? Because there's one game to me that instantly comes to mind.
No matter how terrible the game was, I hoped to mastered it, and it was one of those things where like, yeah, I grinded at every game I owned to the point where I beat it.
Yeah, I guess mine came a lot from like I'd rent stuff from Blockbuster, so I'd rent it.
I didn't have that luxury. Yeah,
I'd basically play it for however long I rented it, and then would have to return it. And so there was a lot of games where I'm like, I'm gonna give up on you. I'm gonna return you now, anyways. There's no reason to play you. But my big one was Quest 64. I don't know if you ever played that game, but man, that game was atrocious to me. Like trying to think back, I was talking to someone about this the other day, and just the whole just the whole beginning intro and how much text they throw at you and all the stuff you got to do and how they are like, here, you're going to play this game. And it was all in 3D and it was cool. And it's like, nah, I can't understand anything. My little like 9-year-old brain or however old I was, it's like, nope, this isn't happening, you guys.
I remember when I got my first PlayStation, I had one game and one game only, which was Spyro.
Okay.
It's the first game that I got. And when I first got that system, and because I was that was the max the budget could be, right? I didn't have a memory card for it.
Oh no!
So I never saved the game.
Oh my god!
So, but I didn't know better because I came from a world in which, like, yes, Mario 64 had a save in it, but
sure, or like
that
even
was the only game that I had a save. All the other games required like the memory pack stuff. I never had saves other than Mario 64. So when I was playing Spyro, my head as a kid, I never thought of this as a problem. So I just got to a point where I'd speedrun it. Like I could sit down and consistently get to the end of Spyro in under 2 hours.
That's pretty good.
And that was just like me as a kid. I played that game so repetitively. I started speedrunning long before speedrunning was a thing.
Yeah. I feel like, I mean, that's something that was like a weird change, was playing games for difficulty that were hard mainly because you couldn't save. So the whole, if you were able to beat it, it wouldn't be nearly as fun. Like the one that comes to mind is like Ninja Gaiden for me, like the original Ninja Gaiden and stuff like that. It's such a hard game. And I think it's mainly because they don't want you to beat it. They want you to have to sit there and struggle at like level 5 or whatever it might be that you get stuck on for years after years, because then it has replayability of you finally getting through that, which a lot of us grew up with. And I think that's what gives us a better capability of playing like games like Dark Souls, or like games that are actually like really hard and are trying to be hard for the sake of being hard. And
it does hurt back. Yeah, it calls back to that moment in our childhood of just like, if you turn it off, that's the end.
That's the end. Yeah, exactly. Good luck. I'll never like or like save points even being in like Final Fantasy, where you actually had to find a save point. I had multiple times. Multiple times in my life where we're like, don't turn off the PlayStation. Whatever you do, parents, I swear to God, I'm so far in right now, but I can't save because I'm not at a save point. So I will be back after school to get to the save point. But I swear to God, if you turn this off, I'm going to be so upset. But it is one of those things where like, yeah, you would just leave it going, or you just leave it running because you couldn't save. Nowadays, yeah, if your game doesn't allow you to save, it's usually for a reason. And it's like
usually auto saving 10 times in the background anyways.
Yeah, nowadays. No, straight up, like,
which is nice. Like I don't think we need to go back to those days.
No, me either. Because they're very like, nowadays companies try to make sure you don't rage quit. where back in the day that was like what they wanted from their player. They wanted their player to be like, I'm done for tonight or whatever. But like
But
now,
for a lot of us, it was your only game. So the next day when you're mad, you couldn't just come.
No, it's
pick
true.
A
No,
new
exactly.
title.
No,
You're like, all right, well, today's the day, maybe. Click.
dude, it is crazy to think nowadays. Like, I remember growing up too and being there was a sea of games. Don't get me wrong. Like, I never played every PS1 game or every PS2 game, but I
never
played
had more than 5 games.
Yeah, I played the majority of most of those that like are, I don't know, games that people would be rememberable of or like remember that aren't just obscured. And I mean I would get pretty far, but nowadays my backlog of games is so like the winter sale's going on right now during the recording of this, and I haven't bought anything mainly because I know it's just going to go into a backlog of games that I'm going to get to like 3 years from today. Like, I have so many games to go play. And then like Cyberpunk came out and I'm like, okay, cool. Like, this is a 20-50 hour game or whatever it's going to be. I'm going to lose so many other games I could have played.
Yeah, there's so many games that I have on backlog as well, but then I find a game like Genshin Impact, and that's a whole conversation we got to have at some point because now I don't want to play any other game, and it's bad.
Yeah.
That game has wrecked me. I have gone so far in the dark deep ends. I'm not coming out.
I feel like that was one of the games that when it came out, I was so ready to join you in the dark deep ends of it because I was like, finally a gacha game with mechanics that I can get behind and play that's an actual game. But then I don't know, my whole mentality of gacha games, I think the weird thing for me is I think the reason why I play most of the gacha games I do is because I can boot it up, do whatever, like my couple daily things I can do, just because most gacha games are just a screen with like no gameplay whatsoever, or it's like auto battlers or whatever, like AFK Arena or Raid Shadow Legends, or the one that I've been playing right now, which is like Manga All Stars. And yeah, I literally can just boot it up, do whatever I need to do, turn it off, not worry about it. But like Genshin had gameplay, so at first I was like, oh,
Genshin's
shit,
a real game.
Oh shit, dude, a real game. Let's do this. And then after a while I was like, I don't consume gacha games for that reason. I think that's what I started to realize.
I mean, but it's not like Genshin is a gacha only if you want a new character. It's literally
no, it really is though.
A complete game outside of that. Like, you don't need another character. There's no reason why you would need to actively get a new character ever, unless you want it.
Yeah,
it's a pure you want and nothing else.
Yeah, I mean, and I kind of get that, but at the same time, for me, if I want to play a game like Genshin or something like that, I'm gonna go play a different game basically. A lot of the times,
it's got all the things I want.
I know.
We'll have a day in which I pop off about it, but
yeah, I think we need to bring someone in for that one too. Just have like it'll be a good guest episode when we get around to bringing guests in here. I still don't know how we're gonna pull that off as far as recording goes, but
probably when we get around to being able to actually do these in person.
Yeah, I think that'll help a ton for at least having guests. Yeah, because I don't know how I would record this in a good fashion. But anyways, that's a whole nother thing. I definitely
maybe we'll figure it out. Maybe we won't. Maybe it'll be next time.
Yeah, I know, right? That would be funny. We're like, we already figured it out. Yeah,
you guys just have to come back and see. That's
come back for the gacha content for that beautiful Genshin waifus. See, that's something though that like does bring me into that stuff, because everyone wants your favorite waifu, and that you say it like you don't need anyone for Genshin for roles, but
no. But you want it.
I know. I guess that. Yeah. That's really what it boils down to. Man, I'm such a bad thing when it comes to those two, because I'm a 100% free to play player for almost every game. I think the only free to play game that I've ever put money into is Pokemon Go, mainly because
fair enough,
we were playing it a lot, and it was more of like we're going out and playing with friends, and this is a time to hang out with friends, and I don't have raid passes to play with you guys. I'll spend $20 or whatever. Like,
I haven't ever really made purchases on Pokemon, and Genshin's kind of the first one that I've actually poured money into.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of gotcha-esque games that I've played in the past, and my preferred mechanic was games that had like cosmetic additions that you could buy on it. And they've had loot boxes in them maybe before, but I've never paid for those. Those harping back to days like Maple Story or Mobanogi, those both had like loot boxes in them. I never played with those. I was just a person that like wanted the cosmetic stuff that I knew what I was getting. And in Genshin, you're not guaranteed to get anything by any means on there, but the odds are readable enough that you can pretty much figure out when you're going to get something, how you're going to get something. And so I put money into it knowing that I was going to roll the thing that I wanted within so many rolls guaranteed, that I thought it was worth it to go for that, because I knew that it was going to change the gameplay in a way that I wanted and a way that I liked. And I had already decided at that point that I'd played the game for 2 months straight. I knew I was going to keep playing the game, and I would have, the amount of time that I played in that game already had outnumbered the amount of hours I paid for a full price game at that point. So in my head, I was like, it made sense to just put in the money of a full price game in there to get content that I wanted. And so I did that and got what I wanted out of it. So I was happy and was able to go from there. And at no point do I feel pressured or like I want to put more money into it for anything. I probably will.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. But it just feels so much more different than any other gacha game or gacha styled content that I've ever experienced.
Yeah, and I mean, we can talk about this more when we actually just talk about Genshin in general, but I do think Genshin is more, it's nicer than some of the other gacha games I've played. Like, I've played quite a few gacha games that are very, very predatory. I'm not saying gacha, I mean, not saying Genshin isn't, but I've seen a lot worse. I've seen a lot worse. Like one of the ones I'm playing right now. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like most of those are designed to make you want every character, to make you want all of those things. And if you're the type of person who wants all of the things, it's going to cost you. It's definitely.
And if you don't have the self-control or the.
If you're not like you, where you're like, you know what, I'm good. Like, I don't have these last 3 characters or how many characters you're missing. Some people will be like, I need them, and I need all the constellations for them, and so like you get into that mindset, it's you can really go down a rabbit hole where you've spent more money than you probably should on anything. But I think we should save that for its own episode, because I actually have some stuff that I've spent money on, and I can bring it up during that I've spent money on games that I don't know if it was worth necessarily spending so much money, but at the end of the day, I think it is. But someone who's just listening to what I spent money on most likely would be like, I don't think what you did was the smartest of calls. And you're probably right, but
it is what it is. We've all have usually something in our lives at somewhere, whether you played Magic the Gathering and spent all the money that you're like, it's investing. It's not. You lost that money. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Or a gacha game. Or maybe you were just a person who loved cars and you had to get the spoiler and the new body kit and the paint job or whatever, and you threw all that money away.
I mean,
whatever you spent your money on, we know there's something out there that you've done it for, most likely.
And that's why I feel like
anime figures.
Yeah, that's why I don't judge people for wanting, like, having a thing that they're passionate about and spending money on it, basically. Mainly because it's your money to spend, and as long as you're not like ruining your life over spending said money, buy all the anime figures, get that nice new car, and get the extra stuff for it. Like,
well, let's save it for next time then. So next time we'll go over all the gacha stuff.
We'll make a Genshin episode. Let's go. We'll go over obsessions. Actually, that's a good way to put it, because that'll bleed into Genshin and some other stuff. So that's perfect. Well, you guys, I guess you can wrap it up. You're the host, so.
I was like, you're gonna take me the time.
I know. I was so funny. I was like, wait a second. All right. I can't do this.
It's so clean. It's so perfect. I was like, I don't even have to do any work. We're out of here.
I'm making you do work.
Well, guys, make sure you actually follow us. It helps us out a lot. It's really awesome when you guys do. Talk to us down below, because we want to talk back with you guys. You made it this far. You better follow us. You've watched some of our other stuff probably. I was a douchebag in there, and you still want to hang out with us. That's your problem at this point, and totally your fault if you don't say something to us down below. So 100% on you. But thank you for watching any which way. And if we scare you off from this point, well, that's, I guess, on me. So
yeah, that's on you. How could you? Thank you guys for joining us. Thanks for coming through. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Oh.